Hey everybody, we're going to get started. So my name is Bob Pelly. Thank you for coming to TecSocial. I AB'd that joke earlier while mingling with people, and that was the best iteration of it. I'm glad I got the laughs I got. So Bob's out of town right now in TecSocial West, hopefully watching us online. Hi Bob. I hope your business goes well. So my name is Eric Ortiz. I work at UIT Startup Immersion. It's my pleasure to fill in for him tonight and to talk about what's going on this evening. If you'll bear with me, first of all, we're waiting on a couple of beverages for our guests who had to deal with some flight issues, which we can all sympathize with because we've flown into Sydney before and it's flights into Sydney. Ian McNeil recently taught a 40-hour public speaking workshop at UIT that I had the pleasure of attending. So I'm going to give a brief introduction based on the things Ian told us how to do. There's a number of things here. I'm going to show it to him later, and I'm hoping for some good critique. So without further ado, I first heard about one of tonight's guests before we crossed paths. One of my current coworkers used to work for Slyce. She was part of a team that went to Philadelphia to meet him. Being from New Waterford, Heather simply said, "Oh, he's real sharp. There's no flies on him." She was genuinely impressed. Her description made him seem analytical and business savvy above all else. Now, when I finally met him, I didn't realize who he was. I was caught off guard. He simply struck me as a genuinely nice and outgoing person. My expectations and the reality were at odds with one another. I researched him in preparation for tonight and am thoroughly impressed with how involved he is with his local community. He showed that when he came to our own monthly mixer in January. He wanted to learn about what we're doing here and about the tech ecosystem that some of his employees now work in. So he's smart, he's friendly, and he's interested in growing local communities. Along Slyce's CTO, we're going to hear an insightful overview of what's happening at Slyce Canada and some of the R&D they're doing. It's my pleasure to introduce Mann and Adam Turkelson.
Okay, we can start now. That was the real hold up. It wasn't. Thanks so much. I've never gotten an intro like that before.
Awesome.
No flies. So I'm Ted Mann. I have been the CEO of Slyce for about a year, but I've been a part of the company for 2 years. I'm here with Adam, who's our CTO. Now neither of us is founders of Slyce, but we've come to become extremely excited about the company, and I think to some degree we kind of feel like it's kind of made it our own in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Adam and I are both based in Philadelphia. In the Philadelphia community, we try to be a part of the community. Right? So we try to hold events, and actually when you were in Philly, you may remember we actually had a cool event that night. I think it was kind of neat. We had the mayor of Philadelphia at our office, and we try to host things and do demos and share what we're working on with the rest of the community, and hopefully we can do the same thing here. That's what we're trying to do. I know for the past couple of years, quick show of hands, how many of you actually, and Slyce employees don't raise your hand. How many of you have actually heard of Slyce? Okay, so that's pretty good. How many of you actually keep your hands up if you have your hand up? How many of you actually keep your hand up if you'd say you know what Slyce does? Okay, that's good. I've seen a little hand waving. So part of what we wanted to do today is to show you what we do, and hopefully make it fun. This isn't like a pitch. I'm not pitching you guys like I would a retailer. We're just going to show some demos, and actually a lot of demos. So hopefully we won't put you to sleep. Hopefully we'll keep it fun, keep it lively. If you throughout any of this, if you have questions, like I don't want to monologue the whole time, so just raise your hand or interrupt me or just shout out or throw something, and we can talk about what we're working on. I'm going to talk for a little bit first about just the background of the company and what we're working on right now, some of the retailers that we work with, and then I'm going to pass the baton to Adam, who's going to get the really fun stuff and sort of show a vision of where we're headed, the really cool stuff that we're working on. And whether you're familiar with what Slyce has done so far or have seen any of that, I sure hope you're going to leave tonight getting really fired up about where we're headed and proud of the fact that we're a part of this community. And that hopefully we are going to put Cape Breton and Nova Scotia on the map when it comes to image recognition. So these are pretty cool looking shoes. If I challenged any of you right now to go and find me these shoes right now, like on Nordstrom or JCPenney or Macy's or Hudson's Bay, like, would you be able to do it? Would you be able to describe those shoes? Probably some of the women in this audience would be, but I mean, I think I would venture to say a lot of the guys would have a hard time. So if I wanted to go buy my wife these shoes right now, it's kind of a challenging thing. Apparel, fashion, but really all walks of retail. Being able to, when you see something that inspires you, that you get really fired up about, that you want to buy, or that you want to save for a wish list, or you want to add to your shopping cart, or you want to add to your gift registry, it is a challenge to be able to do that sometimes. Visual search is creating a way for you to do that with your smartphone camera. So to basically be able to take a picture of a product and you combining that mobile photography with image recognition technology to create an incredible retail moment out of that experience. And it's still very new, right? We've been in the market now, Slyce has been in the market for about 4 years. We've had retailers live in app stores for a little over 2 years. And we're kind of at the forefront of this technology. But we're making a pretty big bet that this is going to be a big part of the way that people shop going forward. And we're not the only ones that think this, right? When you look at around the world, when you look at the Googles and the Baidus of the world, everybody is sort of making a bet that search is no longer going to be just, typing in on a keyboard or typing in with your thumbs. It's going to start to become more, there's going to be a lot more voice search and there's going to be a lot more visual search. So, so where will you see Slyce in action? Where do you see it in action right now? It's in the camera icon in the search bar. That's kind of become the hallmark of visual search and to some degree our calling card. And in every retailer app that it didn't actually start out with this way with a lot of the retailers. A lot of retailers kind of initially buried us in like the hamburger menu or some secondary screen. But what we've seen actually really, it's been really neat to see over the last couple of years. It has, in every one of the retailers that we work with, it's moved to the camera icon in the search bar. Tap on the camera and you launch our visual search SDK. They're typically in a retailer's mobile app, and from there you can search for things. And I'm not going to talk too much about it right now because I want to show you. That's what we do. These are some of the retailers that we work with. We have 25 major U.S. retailers that we have signed. Some pretty big names there. We haven't officially launched with Walmart yet, but we've been in Walmart labs for several months, and everybody, every Slyce employee in here, I see a lot of Slyce employees in here, knows that we've been working really, really hard to get them live. So it's a really impressive group of retailers. This isn't the full list, but it's a pretty good representative sample. So we are far and away the biggest visual search company in the world. We have a few competitors, but they have nowhere near as many retailers as we have. Most of them have one or two. And we're working on some, believe it or not, we're working on some folks that are even bigger than us. To give you a little bit of a sense of sort of how it works, I'm going to show you just like a few examples of or a commercial that one of our retailers put together when they were launching the technology. Hopefully this. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I put together this deck just for this occasion, so forgive me. I'm not. Sometimes I know what's coming next, sometimes I don't. This is our office. Carter took this picture, right? And we have, we have about 30 or so employees based at our office. This is not an up-to-date team photo, but we are hopefully going to take a new up-to-date team photo soon. But that's some of the people from our team here. We also we were at one point a publicly traded company. Let's just say that was probably a bad idea. Slyce is a early stage technology company. Probably shouldn't have been a publicly traded company. So we're actually just as of a month or two ago, we're no longer publicly traded. We went back to being a private company. We got a new investor to basically come in and buy out all our shareholders. this was the video I thought I was about to play. This is a video that Neiman Marcus, who's one of our longest standing partners, when they first launched Visual Search, this is the marketing promotional video that they released.
For you, dressing is an art form, an expression of creativity. So when you see a style you love, don't let the moment get away. Just snap, find, and instantly shop for it on the Neiman Marcus app. Now you can take a picture of any item that captures your eye. From shoes and handbags to dresses and accessories, we'll find a match. Take a picture at a party, in a magazine, or choose a pic directly from your camera roll. With Snap, Find, Shop, your photo will be matched to the style you can't live without. Snap, Find, Shop by Neiman Marcus. Download the Neiman Marcus app on the Apple App Store.
So that's kind of cool. We've had a few retailers that have done these cool little videos, but I want to actually just show you the way it works. I haven't. I can show you the most recent version of Neiman Marcus, but actually to kind of help share some of the lessons that we've learned at Slyce, I figured I would actually go back and show you an older version, like one of the first versions when they first launched, just to give you sort of a sense of how it worked. And let's play. So basically, they originally, I mentioned, they put us originally in the sidebar, and you take a picture, and it would get uploaded to our system. And you can see there's this sort of like progress screen. There was an even uglier version of this originally. It was like kind of a psychedelic butterfly thing. I don't know. It's really weird. It was like confusion. But waiting. It took a long time actually. And then we found it. Yeah, there you go. So there's the result. So again, this is a probably material video, I think. Anyone have a guess why it took so long? And it's okay.
The image size, over cell network.
Wow. I mean, that might have been a factor at that point. I don't know how well developed our SDK is, but that's not the main reason why there was like 20 seconds of latency there.
Catching up with human interaction.
Humans in the loop. Exactly. So when Slyce launched, we had, when it comes to like the technology, when it comes to automated image recognition, and Adam will talk a little bit about how we use convolutional neural networks and other technology, how we're doing more and more of that going forward. When we first launched, we had none of this. We had really no automated image recognition. We took a sort of a very typical lean startup approach. We're like, if that's going to take us years to build, can we get to market faster with a better solution? So we basically had an in-house operation to be able to have humans automatically tag the image and find the product. So the problem here is that when I'll show also what it looks like in Home Depot. Is another example. This must be a more recent Home Depot because you actually see that the camera icon is in the search bar, which wasn't how they originally launched. But take a picture. And you got the processing screen. So I call this out. It's a little painful actually to watch, like to watch it like wait. I call it out because one of the first lessons that we learned as a company around the user experience is that spinners suck. Like wait when you're on that wait screen, long loading screens. I mean, just awful. And the perceived wait time is really the problem here. It's like even if the latency is 15 seconds, it feels like forever when you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. And so we needed to address that, right? When the processing takes more than a second, you need some kind of customer experience to keep your customers engaged. Does anybody here use the Shazam app? Anyone? A few of you? I just want to like pull it up just to sort of show. Well, I can show you after if you haven't ever seen it. But one of the things that made Shazam, we actually Slyce originally built itself as like the Shazam for stuff, the Shazam for products. One of the things that makes Shazam really engaging is that it takes easily that long for Shazam to recognize a song. But it doesn't feel that painful. Why doesn't it feel that painful? As the song is being processed by the Shazam system, you're seeing the sort of equalizer pumping in and out. They've got a really kind of neat visualization of the music that's being recognized. So they can sort of take the waveforms, and you could probably explain how they do this better than I, but they turn it into a nice visually engaging experience so you know what's going on. And so we sort of set out to say, what can we do there? How can we do that better? So this is a, sorry, I don't mean to be playing this. This is a Nordstrom. They're a more recent retailer that's launched with us. So we'll take a. So this, again, you're still on the processing screen. The latency, Nordstrom launched, not terribly. I think this might have actually been before they were. Might have been before they were even out of beta period. But you see, like, we actually return back what we call status notifications or keywords. So as the image is being processed, we began to return those. And you can definitely see. I don't think anybody there would say like that's a killer experience, but you can see it's better. It's definitely better. There's something happening. It's good for a couple reasons. It's good because the user isn't just seeing a spinner, but it's also good because when you actually see the results, you know why you got those results, right? The next lesson that we learned was don't be a one-trick pony. So when Slyce went first to market, when we launched with Neiman Marcus, product recognition was the only thing that we had to offer. And for most retailers, this is kind of interesting, intriguing. Amazon's doing it, so we should probably be doing it, but not nearly enough to get some of them to pull the trigger. So again, Slyce employees can't answer this one, but does anyone have any guesses to what we ended up doing? What do we do to no longer be a one-trick pony? No ideas. So we started just baking in additional scanning modes, like barcode scanning. We found that we were actually really, really good at catalog scanning. Even more exciting, we can do barcode scanning and catalog scanning really, really fast. We can actually do those on device, so there's no latency. So we added in some of those, and we ultimately, fast forwarding a couple of years in this sort of evolution of the company, we got to a point where we were able to package up all of our services into what we call a universal scanner. And this is really what our sales team has had tremendous success selling. This is how we went from a couple of retailers kind of like just testing it out, proof of concept in it, to 25 major US retailers paying us monthly recurring revenue. So we now do all of these things, and there's still issues. We're still trying to get better. We're still like every single one of our services I think is a work in progress, but they are supporting the biggest and most high volume retailers in the country, and we're really proud of that. So I'll show you a couple examples of so Best Buy is a retailer we've been working with now for a couple of years, and they do product recognition, right? So you can like take I'm sure this is something I recorded because it's like on I recognize that Polygon phone. And so you can see we do the catalog scanning, and we also do the product identification. So it does both modes. It also does barcode scanning. I haven't recorded a video of that. And so that's, for Best Buy, that's really, really great. And they do as many barcode scans as they do product scans or catalog scans. So it's by having all of this functionality bundled into the camera, we're offering a lot of value. And what we started to think, maybe getting a little bit, starting to get a little cocky about this perspective, is we can kind of own the camera. We can own the camera in these retail apps, and if they want to do anything else camera-based, like they'll come through us for that. At least keep going. I promise I'll
doing fine.
Yeah, that's great. So the next lesson learned is around use cases, and I didn't have a good sort of soundbite for this one, but basically, what I've been showing you mostly is the kind of the quote unquote snap to buy use case. Basically, take a picture of a product, you get a product result, you buy the product or you save it for later. But there's a lot more that you can do with visual search outside of that, right? There's a lot more that you can do when you're able to use your smartphone camera to hold it in front of something and know what it is. And so we began experimenting, and we have kind of limited resource and bandwidth to really go hog wild on this stuff. I mean, well, startup people here, so I know everybody, has probably suffered from this, like, sort of going down wormholes and rabbit holes. But we have done a bunch for customers, and even for the apps that we own and operate. We have a few apps that we own and operate. So I'll show you a few kind of random examples of other use cases for visual search. So Snap to List is one. We were approached by this app, Shopper, which is a grocery list app, and they said what we'd really like is to be able to use visual search to build a shopping list. So basically, you can. This is my desk too. So you can like go and take a bunch of pictures, and what you can see is sort of what's happening. It sort of collapses into this processing mode in the corner, and you basically build a shopping list of different products. Okay, this is a shitty demo. I'm sorry. I should have been all more careful about which one I was putting in. I was sort of like just throwing in demo after demo after demo, but you get the idea. So Shopper is a kind of a neat app. We also did for both an app that I started, SnipSnap, a coupon app business, and for Canada Post we did an experience around scanning coupons. So you get a coupon in the mail, you can use visual search to be able to take a picture of it and turn it into a digital coupon. It's really kind of cool. Did the demo play? I think the demo didn't play. This is a Canada-specific demo for Canada Tire. Yeah, sorry, it's a little funky recording, but basically, you take a picture of the coupon and begin processing the coupon. Structured coupon information, give you a mobile. This is what we did in the SnipSnap coupon app, and that app grew to 6 million users on iPhone and Android in the US. And hopefully we'll be able to do the same thing for Canada Post. This was something that, candidly, this failed, but it was a good, worthy experiment to fail with. So we built a chatbot. We built it around deals and savings. It was called Scout. Basically, you take a picture of a product, and we identify the product and then tell you all the ways to save money on that product. So look up all the price matching opportunities and coupons and deals. A lot of nods. Should have all used Scout. Sadly we didn't get nearly as much traction on it as we thought we would, but it was kind of a fun experience. Like the idea of like using visual search, using image recognition to launch a whole sort of chat experience.
I have a question, Ted. Yeah. So you seem to be focused on individual retailers, which means, you look at a product and you're going to tell you whether or not you can buy that product in that one store. Scale was something like I was thinking about. Do you have any plans to do, you scan a product and tell me which store?
Well, that demo I just showed you actually does that. So Scout was kind of like in a chat interface, like it was saying, go buy that, I don't know what store I recommend. I think it was Target maybe. It's like go buy the Beats headphones at Target because it'd be the best deal. We did. We also own and operate an app that is it's called Pounce, but we're about to rebrand it as the Slyce app. But it's the same thing. It's you take a picture of a product and we search across all of the retailers to find you the best option.
No conflict there with the retailers?
Well, so that's a great question. So there is a little tension there. Like, we've had even, I mentioned before, Walmart. Walmart's like, why aren't we the first result? Why aren't we ahead of Amazon? That's the challenge of having both a consumer-facing side of the business and a B2B business. And really, the B2B business is we sort of consider it our core business, and probably it will always win. The neat thing about doing some of the consumer-facing stuff and doing the cross-retailer stuff is it has opened a lot of doors for us. So there's some projects right now I can't, unfortunately, we're not publicly traded anymore, but I still can't talk about because they're a little sensitive. But we are working on some projects that would involve that sort of cross-retailer search that are really exciting, really big. Yeah. So, did I answer your question?
Yep.
This was now this is a demo that also, we did it for Walgreens. Walgreens didn't buy it, so, take it with a grain of salt, but I still think it's cool. Take a picture of a pill, and we can identify the pill. I still think that's super neat. Pill identification. Cool use case for visual search. Maybe we will still sell it. We'll go to
I don't want to.
Shoppers
don't
Drug
want to
Mart.
know what it is.
What's that?
I don't want on the floor at my home.
You'd be surprised how many old people this is a legitimate problem for. This is to end on maybe a higher note. I've had a couple demos products that didn't go anywhere. This is a product that actually just launched. I think it's had a really incredibly successful launch. Just launched 2 weeks ago. We were approached by Tommy Hilfiger they gave us this kind of I still can't believe that we agreed to this. They said, build us an app in a month. It says, the person in December, they said, we have a fashion show coming up in February. We need you to build us an app in a month that we can use to take pictures of runway models and identify what they're wearing. Not just one product, all of the things they're wearing, which was a totally new thing for us. To boot, they're like, yeah, we also wanted to identify our advertisements and our video and our in-store displays. We wanted to identify everything. So they did kind of put us through hell. But what came out on the other end is this. Kind of cool. Came together really nicely, and they produced a heck of a video.
So Tommyland, that's a store, not a theme park, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's their fashion show, their big fashion show. Maybe it'll be a theme park. It's all about Gigi Hadid. I didn't know who Gigi Hadid was. I don't think I ever know who Gigi Hadid is, but now we do. Very important. Future of Tommy Hilfiger. The last and final lesson, I promise this is the last slides I have, and then I'll let Adam take over for the future, is really one of the things that we've really come to feel in probably the last 6 months is that as a company in visual search, we sort of started out with this perspective that the retailers want to control everything. Retailers are very, very controlling and very demanding. And what we've seen is that in a lot of our implementations, the retailers do certain things wrong. And no matter how much guidance we give them, they implement certain pieces of our SDK inappropriately or incorrectly, or for whatever other reason, the experience gets a little munged up. And we're starting to get really confident in what will deliver the best quality experience. So we've begun working on the next generation of our SDK, which we're calling, which is version 5.0. And we're going to give a little bit of a preview of that. So do you want to take it from here? I'll sort of get the phone teed up.
Okay. I'm even less familiar with these slides than he is, so.
So just let me don't do anything yet. I'm going to put it on this so that we can actually show.
Okay.
And then you'll switch to your computer for that. That's
Sure, it's going to find it automatically.
Oh, it is. Okay. Wait. There we go. Yeah, that's my phone.
So as Ted was reviewing what we currently offer, there's a couple of things we absolutely wanted to address through technology. That perceived wait time is only part of the equation. It's the actual processing that needs to get faster and better as well. And so with that comes the introduction of more modern techniques in computer vision, right? So we have classically relied very heavily on a human in the loop for computer vision purposes and product recognition purposes. Having done that for several years, we've amassed millions of handcrafted and hand-curated training images, which is now directly seeding into training for deep learning systems to be able to take over a lot of this. There's always a role for people, and actually there's an interesting sort of synergy between image search, computer vision, and text-based search that, as Ted has shown through a lot of these demos, the output of our visual search right now is a set of search keywords that then feed into a more traditional search UI, right? So,
Do you want to show that slide with the build, or do you want to go straight to the demo?
yeah, so we'll go through this to get into how it works. So with the new SDK version 5, we're focused on a couple of things. One is the experience. We've abandoned the shutter button. This is sort of a live preview of what we're looking at for the future. There isn't a place to snap a photo. Well, there isn't.
I was trying to turn down the.
So we want to make the camera experience more interactive. We want people to be engaged with the camera and not treat it like a traditional camera experience, where the expectation is you snap, you sit there, and you wait for something to happen. We want something a bit more expedient, more real time, and more interactive ultimately. So we've adopted this new interaction, which is tap on an object to initiate a search.
I'm going to tap on your shoe. Okay.
So you'll select effectively the object that you want to recognize temporarily. There's a crop region that is suggested. We're actually going to automate the suggestion of that region based off analysis of the image. If you do nothing, the image gets submitted automatically, or you can resize to sort of refocus what the system should be looking at. And then the experience unfolds in a more traditional way. So you can see up at the top here, we now have customizable keywords. So this is where we've now transitioned to a more traditional search approach. And this is something that you're familiar with if you've ever used Amazon, or really any search experience. We now have a seamless way to go from point A to point B through visual search. The other nice thing about this, which is not reflected in this demo, which I'll switch to a live demo in a second, is the idea of now that we're not reliant on a single snap, we can support multiple snaps or multiple points and recognition simultaneously. So, prime example, if you want to recognize an entire outfit that somebody is wearing, an itemized sort of list of products in a particular image, you can tap, tap, tap. And we can then trigger processing on all of those things simultaneously. Which, if you think from a UI UX perspective, you don't have to sit there and wait for the entire workflow to finish to be able to go back and snap another photo. So it's really an ultra streamlined way to get search results faster, but encouraging behavior so that you snap more, which should hopefully get people a bit more comfortable with the idea of visual search in general.
Do you want to do that on your computer?
Yeah, so you actually showed a live version of that. Oh, that's your phone now. Okay.
Yeah, it's my phone. So I'm just going to switch this back to your computer, to the HDMI.
Yeah, I need to plug in. So you want to do a little song and dance while I unplug here?
I think I just wait to do it until it's plugged in.
Yeah, and then you'll either find it or you can press the button. I don't actually know, it's my first day.
By the way, this is the first that we're showing this to anybody. We've shown it to a couple of retailers just because we couldn't help ourselves. You guys are the first people out there. Okay.
All right.
It's horribly blurry, but we'll let it go. So the idea is, and this is a bit of a simulation, that we don't have to freeze the image either. So the gesture is click, so that would be me tapping, and oh, by the way, there's motion tracking now.
Oh, cool.
So we're interacting with the live feed. So what happens is, as we're recognizing this product, if I can point to the dot myself, we can give even more real-time feedback about what we're recognizing. You can get instant sort of graphical feedback about, hey, this is the thing that's being processed currently. It allows us to do multiple objects simultaneously.
I want
I want to buy that here.
Hey, Amazon, something.
I think he has me beat back in the corner. So that's the general concept. The future of visual search as we see it is that it's a more real-time, interactive experience, and not isolating to a single match. So motion tracking, multiple search, multiple simultaneous search, and real-time feedback are really the emphasis of the new SDK. Awkward pause while I switch back to the slides.
I know it's kind of repetitive. You can play this second demo because it's just some additional kind of UI stuff. Oh, no. It's like,
So what wasn't featured there is this crop region. Like I said, what we're going to do is automatically suggest this based off the contours in the image. We're going to analyze the things that you clicked on to suggest a meaningful crop window. The keywords appear around the spinner. So despite the lesson that spinners are bad, in this context, spinners are actually really good. So we're going to have visualizations around the point of interaction. And we've also adopted this layer concept here. So again, the whole idea is that you're not taken out of the visual search experience, that you're kept within the camera. You can quickly get back to the camera to engage further. If you don't like the results, maybe our accuracy missed on a particular recognition, you don't have to go through a complicated workflow to get back to the camera. You can just comfortably swipe away or just click back to the camera preview here and continue on tapping.
Not a question.
Yeah.
Does the tap change the focus of the camera?
So it's an autofocus based off of the tap.
Off the tap?
Yeah, so if you do nothing, it will generally autofocus to whatever's in frame, right? But the tap gesture autofocuses to that position. We will then analyze around what you tapped, suggest the crop region. You can do nothing, and it will automatically start tracking and processing, or you can resize if we've missed it. Resizing would very likely change the focus. That's one of the pieces that isn't physically built yet. So there's some usability things we'll probably work through there. But yes, focus would be accounted for in this. Just played that. So in terms of how we accomplish some of these objectives, we have a system called Foundation internally. And who are the techies in the room? Any techies? Okay, good. So the system that we have is built as a microservices architecture. So effectively, every processing piece or task that we perform is a standalone service that we can then chain together in a highly scalable way to be able to process inbound images. What this set of slides is showing is really the evolution of Slyce's approach to image recognition within this foundation system. So originally, when an image was submitted, we've already discussed that we had humans in the loop that effectively were looking for things like style or gender. Sort of manually tagging this.
so if you go back to that Neiman Marcus example, like the very first sort of iteration, that's all really it was.
Right, and that experience has been heavily adjusted over time. It's probably a comfortable way to describe it for those that use it. What we realized very quickly is that the search mechanism is actually a fairly complicated piece in visual search, go figure, right? So we can translate an image into a set of search keywords, but actually conducting that search and finding real results is a challenge. And so early on, we developed this piece called Seeker, which is basically a way to abstract this search logic from our internal system with external search APIs. And what this allowed us to do was integrate directly with retailers' search APIs without having to consume a full product catalog into our system. Again, sort of the lean startup mentality, this was the quickest way to be able to conduct product search against in a lot of cases, an okay product search API. They're limitations of that, and I'll get to that in a second. So Seeker entered into the scene that allowed us to do this search, this integration through upstream or third-party search APIs. In the spirit of not being a one-trick pony, we quickly evolved to offering other services in this foundation architecture, and so enter native but also server-side barcode detection, or our catalog matching, which we call reference image matching, which is actually pretty exciting for our future going forward. I'll touch on that in a bit. Annotator sort of entered into the scene. We're now annotating inbound tickets and images with extra information. So the more information we can extract from the image or from the metadata and put together, the more effective search strategy we can put around that, right? So very recently, we've rolled out this internally called New Sky. I think more formally Slyce Search. We're still sort of working on the marketing of it, but this Seeker component, this upstream search API, is inconsistent. So the problem with using that in a solution, particularly if you have humans in the loop, is producing consistent, repeatable results. Automation can control the predictability of the keywords that get generated, but if you're still going through a third-party search API, you can't control the result set itself. So this was a problem, and we wanted to get better at the quality of our result set, not just necessarily the exact first image that we recognize. So we've developed this internal system that we call New Sky, which basically brings the entire search experience in-house. So this is a full-scale metadata image-based search engine. So what we can do now is what we can do now is take all of the data that we collect on inbound tickets, color, is there a barcode, what's the product name, the gender, the style, is everything that we've been able to uncover automatically and do a very quick, almost instantaneous search against product catalogs that we are now ingesting into this New Sky system. That whittles down the possibilities. So if you think of a very large retailer where they may have millions of SKUs to search from, we can use metadata and some of the semantic data we're getting through keywords and some of these attributes to go from 50 million products down to, let's say, 1,000 products that may fit that criteria. We can then employ image-based ranking. So we have separate ranking algorithms that will take that candidate result set and re-rank everything based on the visual similarity or color similarity or shape similarity, texture similarity, a lot of visual attributes that can be extracted. That's where right now our current deep learning is employed. So, okay, there's more to it. So we can inspect all of these images because we are now consuming the product catalog. We download every image in the catalog, we analyze it, we index it cleverly so that we can retrieve it quickly, and then we can do this refinement and this re-ranking at the end. That allows us to get very high quality results very quickly. So our overall speed goes down and our quality, there's a lot of metrics that you can use, but our overall quality and accuracy appreciably go up from that. Right, so the future, and this is what we're actively starting with, and where we're here, we're hiring, we're growing out a brand new R&D department focused on deep learning, machine learning, and next generation computer vision. We're going to incorporate a feedback loop into the system. So as I mentioned, we have lots and lots of data, training data that we've collected just by servicing these tickets for however many years we've been servicing these tickets. We also have an SDK and direct access to end users. So we can get real-time feedback about the quality of our results that we search. And so what we can do is now incorporate the lessons learned from the human in the loop process with end user feedback to be able to automatically start retraining deep learning systems that are attempting to automate pieces of this. And so we've got a couple of projects that are on the dock that we just started kicking off actually. It appeared here a little bit out of order, but in small text, we've got logo identification. One of the exciting things that we're looking to do is in real time recognize where logos are in images or video streams. That is a great way to whittle down, again, the available options when you're doing search. So if we know somebody's taking a picture of a Nike sneaker, and we can recognize Nike, that very quickly allows us to refine the search results at scale without having to do computationally expensive image-only sorting. So you can think of it as a sort of a ranking and a re-ranking process. We're starting this is a deep learning approach to logo detection and logo recognition. And then a bit more ambitious is the automation of some of the keywords, the search keywords. So similar to the way that Google does image captioning, automated image captioning, we're able to train a system to produce search keywords based on the historical data that we've collected. And so the way that this is going to work is an image will come in, we will attempt to automatically identify what we can, and if the automation is confident in the result, we can return immediately. There are a lot of times that that's not going to be sufficient. User-generated content is surprisingly horrible. Those that stare at it on a daily basis will inevitably agree that people are really bad at taking photos of products for whatever reason. And so even state-of-the-art deep learning approaches will fail. And so we have a safety net where we can then triage tickets that were not serviced automatically to our data specialists, capture all of that data, feed it back in so that our system can learn and hopefully get it the next time. And this is an adaptive system that gets to improve over time. So it's really a sort of an exciting evolution of the way that visual search works. And I'm out of slides. I can stop there. I don't know if you have anything additional to add.
Well, so I mean, the one other thing Adam touched on earlier that I think is really important is sort of, I'm saying is moving as much processing as possible. I don't know if you're right. As much processing as possible on device. So as we begin to train up these classifiers, we hope, we haven't really done this yet, but I mean, we know it's theoretically possible, sort of compile those and run those on device. So you can start to get that feedback. So we're talking about those like keywords and, you know, like we sort of showed the demo there, sort of get that feedback almost instantaneously.
Yeah, so those that have played with the recent release of Amazon have probably seen this experience where if you're doing their visual search and you sort of hover over an object in real time, it's giving you suggestions, right? They're not doing that natively on the device. They're actually streaming that up to the server and then getting the response back. We're set up perfectly to achieve something like that, but we feel better with a different take on it, particularly in the way that our search keywords are going to be generated. So in contrast to Amazon, for example, they produce very generic keywords. This is something I didn't touch on, but is actually very, we're proud of this fact. That,
Want me to pull the slide first?
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't.
We were kind of throwing the deck together.
So a lot of these computer vision and machine learning engines out there are trained on public domain or open source data sets. There's a couple of very popular ones, ImageNet or Coco or Pascal. These are massive data sets, but they contain images of very generic categories. So they may contain images of jackets or of people or shirts. But that's about as descriptive as a lot of these get. Slyce is positioned and uniquely positioned that our training set has very hyper-specific attributes. Just by the nature of how our search originated and has continued, we describe things very, very fine-grained. So in contrast to a man's jacket, we might call it a sports coat or a plaid sports coat or a slim fit wool sports coat. These hyper-grained, sort of fine-grained attributes that are in our training data allow us to produce descriptions at that level to produce even more accurate results. So if you load up the Amazon app, they'll get some brands, some major brands correct, but typically the descriptions come back, it's a keyboard or it's a mouse or it's a computer. We're positioned to return the exact product name in a lot of cases of what you're pointing this at. And on a side note, because we have this real-time interactive UI and UX set up now, we're able to stream results much like Amazon streams results. Because one of the things that I didn't mention is that our foundation architecture is built on top of WebSockets, and our SDK is built on top of WebSockets. So for those that don't know what that means, is that it allows servers to communicate with the client versus a more traditional client has to request data from a server, which means that we can push information in real time to people using the SDK and using these applications, which allows us to gather image features or on device, we can do processing on device offload some of the computational costs and complexity from us to the client, and basically have that information sit back to us in real time and then communicate and have an open session as we're doing recognition. So really kind of geeky but exciting stuff, and it's going to be very cool.
So I have a question, and I was wondering about, because I've been a cameraman for many years. Yeah, the quality of the images you would get from your customers. I mean, the lighting could be bad, the angle could be different from. In your database, you have essentially, say in a catalog, they would take a shoe and the catalog would have views of it from 2 or 3 different angles. And unless your customer chose an angle that it could, extrapolate that.
Right.
So have you thought about, using like wireframe, taking a bunch of points, creating a 3-dimensional wireframe that it could be searched so that it could be, so that the image that was sent to you could use it as a reference point and use it from any angle?
So we've thought about, we aren't using that approach, at least for the projects that are upcoming, solely for the fact that the image features that we're using, some of them are rotational and skew invariant. So that particular problem is slightly less prevalent in the images and the features that we deal with. We've also amassed just a ridiculous amount of images of these products from users. So one of the actual challenges.
Once identified from any angle, then you have that. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So sufficient training data is key to all of these deep learning experiments, right? And we have training data in spades to be able to do that. One of the other sort of interesting things about that, convolutional neural networks, which are sort of the cornerstone of deep learning and the image recognition space, are also very good at learning around angles and rotation and scale to a certain degree. I mean, there are practical limitations to all of these things. So just by the nature of the model that you use to train up on some of this data, it's able to make, I don't want to call them educated guesses, but inferences based off of this training data, even if it haven't actually been presented at a particular angle. The other nice thing too, particularly in our problem domain as a specific retailer, we're ingesting products from that exact retailer, right? So the possibilities of getting a correct match actually go up the fewer products you have, because there's less overlap, there's less confusion. And so things like bad lighting or a partial image being covered are a little bit less significant. They have less of an impact the smaller the catalog. Now, that problem is a problem as we go to scale, and some of the sort of new endeavors we're looking at are at a scale that, there are lots of problems with things like that. And so we'll be investigating other ways to accommodate that. Other technical questions?
So, if anyone's wondering sort of why are we, doing this, why are we talking? I mean, I said at the outset, we're trying to become more part of the local community. We want to get involved. We want to hear about what other people are working on. We want to hopefully maybe get somebody to say, well, I'd really love to try your SDK, or maybe I'd like to come join your company. And we are hiring. We're hiring right now, mostly for engineering positions. So we have open positions right now for machine learning specialist and computer vision specialist. Fairly specialized engineering jobs, but nevertheless, we kind of want to get the word out, and we really do want to build our team in Nova Scotia. So that's a big part of the reason too. Just because those are the engineering positions we're hiring for right now, we will have other positions, other roles outside of engineering. So want to know everybody in the community, and if you're interested in some other role at Slyce, we'd love to meet you. That's all.